and work with Republicans.
Congressman, I want to talk about one other subject with you. The committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has subpoenaed some documents and also some witnesses, key Trump advisors around that time. Now, President Biden announced this week that he is going to deny former President Trump's claim of executive privilege. He wants to release some of the records. President Trump is likely to take the issue to court. If it comes to a vote in the House for resisting these subpoenas and holding the people who resist the subpoenas in criminal contempt of Congress, how will you vote?
Well, first of all, these are legal issues, and you've got a number of people that have been subpoenaed that are complying. They're trying to comply, but it's a legal process, and they've got attorneys. By the way, the House of Representatives, Speaker Pelosi, spent millions of taxpayer dollars hiring attorneys too, and there's Justice Department cases moving forward. They've arrested hundreds of people.
No, but sir, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're running out of time. Specifically, the way it would come to the court is they would resist the subpoena, and then the House would vote to hold them in criminal contempt, and then it would go to the court. And my question is, if it comes to a vote on the House floor to hold these people who are ignoring House committee subpoenas to produce documents or testify, how would you vote?
Well, I don't speculate on a bill that's not before me. It's not before me right now. I voted against this commission because it was heavily stacked to be a partisan commission. Look, they don't want to spend any time investigating the origin of COVID. That, by the way, matters to the families of over 600,000 Americans. They don't want to hold an investigation into what happened in Afghanistan, the complete botched withdrawal that led to 13 American soldiers dying. Why don't they focus on getting our economy back on track, get an FDA commissioner to get COVID under control? They want to keep revisiting last year, the year before.
Well, sir, I mean, in fairness, Republicans, when you were in control, wanted to go over Benghazi, and that was a perfectly legitimate thing. 4 Americans died. This was the worst attack in at least a century or more on the U.S. Capitol. Let me ask you one last question in this regard. Clearly, there were irregularities in the last election. There are irregularities in all elections, but I want to ask you a specific question. Do you think the 2020 election was stolen from Donald Trump, and in continuing to make that charge, not having states do election reforms, but specifically making this charge that the election was stolen? Do you think that hurts, undermines American democracy?
Well, Chris, I've been very clear from the beginning. If you look at a number of states, they didn't follow their state-passed laws that govern the election for president. That is what the United States Constitution says. They don't say that the states determine what the rules are. They say the state legislatures determine the rules.
But the states all certified.
States, they didn't follow those state legislative.
The states all certified. They didn't follow
those legislative rules. Right, but at the end of the day, are we going to follow what the Constitution says or not? I hope we get back to what the Constitution says, but clearly in a number of states, they didn't follow those legislatively set rules.
So you think the election was stolen?
What I said is there are states that didn't follow their legislatively set rules. That's what the United States Constitution says. And I think there are a lot of people that want us to get back to what the Constitution says we should be doing, not just with elections, with a lot of other things too. And then there's some people that want to just ignore what the Constitution says and do their own thing. That's been a debate that's been going on in this country for a long time.
But why
don't we just get back to the Constitution? We wouldn't have that problem.
And there certainly can happen, but there are people out there. There was a rally for President Trump yesterday, and a number of people said, Joe Biden's not my president, Donald Trump is my president. I guess the question is, do you think the election, last time I promised, do you think the election was stolen or not? I understand you think there were irregularities and things that need to be fixed. Do you think the election was stolen?
Yeah. And it's not just irregular. It's states that did not follow the laws set, which the Constitution says they're supposed to follow. When you see states like Georgia cleaning up some of the mess and people calling that Jim Crow law, that's a flat-out lie. I think most people need to stand up against that sort of thing.
All right.
Yeah, but the law says, again, the legislature passed that law. That's what the Constitution of the United States says, and it wasn't followed in a number of states.
Congressman Scalise, thank you. Thanks for your time. Always good to talk with you, and I appreciate the way you step up and answer questions and the way you choose to. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Great to be back with you. Thanks, Chris.
Up next, Senate.